Anthropocene. I'm just kidding. I know how to say it. I'm just doing the thing. I couldn't think of a better intro. Welcome, my fellow wannabes. Welcome to another edition of The Wannabe Critic. I am your host, Gabriel Fast. Sorry, I don't know why I'm saying that. I have a podcast too. You might have heard it at some point or another, one point or another. It's called also The Wannabe Critic on any podcast service. So I've kind of been in podcast mode for quite a while now. So that's probably why I say I'm your host. But I guess I am the host of this particular show as well. I gotta say it's been a while. You might notice some changes in the old setup here. It's been a while since I've turned the microphones on. I've been very busy. I think the last time I did a review, I actually told you guys that I had taken a job. I'm no longer doing that job. It just wasn't a good fit. After about a month, I realized that it just wasn't fun to do my own content anymore. And, I realize that's kind of what it takes for a lot of people, is to kind of get to that point. They work a day job, but it wasn't a good fit for me anyways. But side point, I have a dope shirt on. Check this out. Loot Crate sent this to me because I pay for it. I'm not sponsored by them, but a guy can dream. But it's Pac-Man, and he's running away from a little ghosty ghost. You see that? Look at him. It's got the dope writing. I just thought it was kind of like wannabe critic-esque. But anyways, we're here to talk about Grimes' new album, MISSANTHROPOCENE. And I gotta say, I really, really liked this album. I bought it on vinyl. I definitely think it's worth your dollars if you're an audiophile, if you listen to a lot of new music. I definitely think it's worth your time. I mean, obviously, showing you the vinyl, I really enjoyed it, but let's just kind of talk about why. So my brother hit me up not too long ago, and he's like, dude, you gotta be looking for some EDM, because kind of gone through the dubstep phase, a few years ago, and like the EDM phase, people were listening to it a lot, and I liked what I heard. I've never disliked the EDM music scene thing, but I do have to say that I wasn't quite as crazy about it as everyone else was, and I just didn't really click with it as much. But I do like facets of electronic music, and I do think that there is a talent involved. Being able to listen to something, about 1,000 times before you even think about sharing it with somebody, that has to be an aspect of the electronic scene a little bit. I bet some people just, kind of just hit play and share, but, I don't know, there's a level of craftsmanship that is in that side of production on its own. I really respect it. I just want to put that out there. But Grimes isn't really EDM. She's more of just electronic is what iTunes has her labeled as. And if you haven't listened to Grimes before, I do have to say Grimes is pretty weird. I couldn't get into her, back whenever I was listening to the dubstep and stuff, because her stuff was so different. But this new album, MISSANTHROPOCENE, there's just like a really weird vibe to it, and it's just kind of dark, and I don't know, there's a lot of emotion put into it. She takes a lot of different sounds from, like something that you might hear out of a band, but then also incorporates heavy electronic influences into the finished product. And I have to say, if you're kind of like into like the Radiohead-ish type stuff, I feel like this is potentially something that would get recommended on your Pandora should you be listening to like the Radiohead channel. I really like all the songs. The songs, I think there's 12 songs on the regular edition, and then the extended edition has 15 songs, but it's not a terribly long length album in of itself, but it's just a really solid listen. I have to say it's one of those ones I listened to it one time, and I wasn't crazy about it the first time I listened to it, but now I have this new rule that anytime I listen to an album, I have to listen to it at least one or two more times to try and, get the full sense of it. I do have to say that by the third time, I was completely hooked on this album. I was playing it all around the house, playing it in the car, and me and my wife are going places, and then before I knew it, she was actually listening to it herself, and she herself really vibes with it. It's kind of a different style review than what I usually do, because I told you pretty much from the beginning that I really liked this album, and I already think it's worth your time. If I had to pick a couple of songs to recommend to you, I would probably recommend New Gods and Dark Side. Now, this is one of those albums where it just kind of like all kind of loops together, and you don't really pay attention to the songs as much as the entire work itself. I love albums like that. This is definitely gonna, several songs made it onto my best of 2020 playlist, and I really, really like this album. Have you listened to it yet, though? Because there's a lot of opinions on this album, and there's lots of mixed reviews. I think this is a near perfectly executed album, just enough weirdness in there, and really shows that it pays off to be weird because you can create something that's really cool and that clicks with people. I'm gonna give this a 9 out of 10 because I definitely think that this is gonna be a slept on album this year, and watching her in interviews and watching her kind of talk about her previous albums and the things that she's done, you kind of get a sense like her personality kind of matches the music, and like you feel connected with that person, kind of like the same way like you watch interviews of like your favorite rock band, or you watch people you admire and then you compare that with what you see in their work, and then you feel like you might have a connection with that person, even though you don't really. It still kind of has that level there, like you still kind of click with that. So I don't know, I might be biased because I had watched her in interviews prior to listening to this album, but after I listened to this album it kind of made sense, and then I actually went back and listened to her older albums, and I really, really like Grimes. I think she's a really talented artist. Fun fact, she's also engaged and pregnant with Elon Musk's baby, so there's that. Elon Musk, the guy who like invented Tesla. You may or may not know that. But anyways, definitely check it out. I definitely think it's worth buying on vinyl. It's been a while. If this is a little awkward, it's been a while since I turned the cameras on. Like I said, I've been really busy, and I thought this is a really rainy day where I'm at here in Missouri, and there is this the coronavirus panic is in full swing, and there's not really anything to do today. So I thought, I'm going to turn the cameras on and talk about something that I've wanted to talk about for a while. I know I'm a little late to the game, but I am a true wannabe. So sue me. As always, please check out the podcast. I think you would really enjoy it. We talk about, like, we're going through the Fast and Furious movies right now. United series on the Wannabe Critics. We're also going through some comic series. We're taking some listeners' questions. So if you have a question about something that you would like to get our input on, please let us know in the comments here. You can email us at geeklybiweekly1@gmail.com. Also, I just gotta thank you guys for always consistently watching and always giving good feedback. It means a lot. So, if you like this, if you can, hit the bell and you'll be notified every time I make a video. Also, if this is your first time here, please consider subscribing. It would seriously mean a lot. So as usual, thank you for stopping by. Thanks for checking this out. And thank you for preparing yourselves for a plethora of hot takes and potentially unpopular opinions. I am Gabriel Fast. I will always be the Wannabe Critic.